Welcome back to the channel. Today we take a journey into my past as I reflect on the extraordinary event from my infancy involving a miraculous healing by LDS Prophet Spencer W. Kimble. I was born in 1978 in Hollywood Memorial Hospital, and my early days in Utah were marked by a serious health concern. Join me as I recount the challenges my family faced and the profound experience that left a lasting legacy on our lives. I was born in April of 1978 at the Hollywood Memorial Hospital while my family was living in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I had 3 older siblings at the time, and my younger brother would be born a couple of years later. Now here's a picture of my parents about 3 months before I was born. Of course, my mom was pregnant at the time.
What a handsome couple.
One of the strangest rules of that hospital were that the anesthesiologists were never on call there, but available only for scheduled appointments, surgeries, and deliveries such as C-sections. Therefore, my birth was a natural, unmedicated childbirth, meaning my mother had no access to anesthesia.
Thanks, Mom.
This was exceptionally hard for my mother because I weighed over 9 pounds when I was born, the largest baby in the newborn nursery. But my robust weight was fortunate because of what followed. I was definitely a healthy newborn, a good nurser, and a welcome addition to my Mormon family. Mom spent most of the next 2 months cleaning, sorting, packing, and preparing for the family to move to Salt Lake City, and of course caring for me as an infant and taking care of our family. My father was finishing his medical internship at the VA hospital in Miami. And in addition, my dad was trying to sell his antique car and my parents' Florida residence, the latter of which was not achieved until after the move. In June, my mom and I and the younger kids flew to Phoenix to visit my grandmother and great-grandmother en route to Salt Lake City. Unfortunately, I have no memories of my great-grandmother who passed away a short time later. This cute photo of me in the blue suit was taken in Phoenix, Arizona, probably at the beginning of what we would find out later would be a serious syndrome. My father and older brother drove our family belongings cross-country in a U-Haul truck. Now, when my family finally arrived all together in Salt Lake City, it was a very stressful time, especially for my mother, settling into a new house, outfitting my father's new office, hiring a new office assistant for him, helping the family's kids become adjusted to their new environments, and especially dealing with my dad's return to active symptoms of his debilitating mental and emotional illnesses and addictions. Addictions that would tear my wonderful LDS family apart. But that's a subject of another video. This left my mother carrying almost all of the arduous responsibilities mostly alone, unlike most mothers of newborns, sleep deprived. Nevertheless, my mom did her best to care for each of the children, with special attention to me. I had been to well baby checkups in Florida, and after finding a suitable doctor in Salt Lake City, she took me for another checkup when I was about 3 months old. My weight was a bit low for my age, but the doctor did not seem much concerned. By late summer, my dad's medical office opened up to patients, and my older brothers and sisters started school. About that time, my mom took me to visit Bishop H. Burke Peterson, who had baptized her in 1965 and was then serving in the presiding bishopric of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The primary duties of the presiding bishopric are to oversee the temporal affairs, that's the buildings, properties, commercial corporations, etc., of the church, and to oversee the bishoprics of congregations throughout the world. Bishop Peterson kindly accommodated us and was warm-hearted as she and my mom caught up. However, he remarked that baby Dives seemed rather thin and perhaps a bit sickly, even though I was happy and responsive. My mom had not noticed this, as day by day such things are not easily recognized incrementally. My mom was especially puzzled because I nursed seemingly as well as other babies she had had, and she resolved to bring this up in the next well baby checkup. On the following day, my mom had a studio photo taken of her and I together. Long years later, not recognizing the possibility of its place in family history, unfortunately, my mom discarded this photo because I looked very thin and sickly, and my mom looked even worse, and it had greatly faded. My mom became increasingly concerned about my slender physique with none of the baby fat that the other children had exhibited. While waiting for my next doctor's appointment, she had the idea that I could be healed by the touch of LDS Church President Spencer W. Kimble, who belonged to our Monument Park 2nd Ward in a suburb of Salt Lake City, Utah. Spencer Willie Kimble was an American religious leader who was the 12th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He's the grandson of early Latter-day Saint apostle Heber C. Kimball. In late 1973, following the sudden death of Harold B. Lee, Kimball became the LDS Church's 12th president, a position he held until his death in 1985. Kimball's presidency was noted for the 1978 announcement ending the restriction on church members of Black African descent being ordained to the priesthood or receiving temple ordinances. That announcement came just a few months after I was born. Kimball's presidency saw large growth in the LDS Church, both in terms of membership and the number of temples. Kimball was the first church president to state publicly that the church expects all able-bodied male members to serve missions in young adulthood, resulting in an increase in missionary service. Spencer attended our local Mormon congregation about every other Sunday, and my family lived just a short distance away from him. I have memories as a child of riding my bike past Laird Avenue and knowing that the prophet's house was on the left. This was decades before the LDS Prophet would live in the presidential condo and penthouse suite in downtown Salt Lake City. Spencer typically did not take an active role in the local congregation services because that's not his job. That's actually the job of the bishop. According to my older brother, Spencer had a reputation of being soft-spoken due to his vocal cord issues that resulted from his battles with throat cancer. For all intents and purposes, most people viewed him as a kindly old man. Spencer would sit up on the stand during sacrament meeting, and it was common for faithful Latter-day Saints to greet him briefly in the halls after church. Now back to the story. That Sunday, my mom carried me close to the prophet in the hallway, saying nothing about my health concerns to him. President Kimble patted my hand. It makes me a bit emotional to think about this interaction. I wish so much that I could remember it. My mom was immediately led to recall the woman with blood issues of 12 years as recorded in the Synoptic Gospels of the New Testament, whom the Savior healed solely by her being close to him. My mom felt this happen to me and immediately became optimistic that I would recover. Unfortunately, a short time later at a doctor's checkup, I was diagnosed with failure to thrive syndrome. Children are diagnosed with failure to thrive when their weight or rate of weight gain is significantly below the other children of similar age and sex. Infants or children that fail to thrive seem to be dramatically smaller or shorter than other children of the same age. Teenagers may have short stature or appear to lack the usual changes that occur at puberty. I was always one of the shortest people in my elementary classes, and still today I'm only 5'7" tall.
And you're short.
The doctor suggested that even though I was nourishing well, my mother's glands probably were not producing enough milk to nourish me properly or as plentifully as my fellow siblings. My mom asked, well, how could that be? The doctor then asked if she had been under much stress, and she admitted that she was practically floundering. The doctor said that this would contribute to the problem and that no mother can really know the actual amount of milk being produced. My mom was naturally taken back and very concerned, but she felt confident in the experience with President Kimble. The doctor prescribed starting the now 6-month-old baby me on rice cereal and formula, as other children had done. Baby DVAs took well to cereal and began taking formula in addition to nursing. Within a month of the blessing and the doctor's appointment, my weight increased, and by the time I was 8 months old, I was in the normal weight range for my age.
You got fat.
My mother felt that the experience with President Kimble and the doctor's diagnosis and treatment all contributed to my good health and future. And here's a photo of me in a red-white suit on the road to recovery about the age of 6 to 7 months.
That's cute.
As we wrap up this episode of the Mormon News Roundup, I reflect on the powerful impact that faith and belief can have in our lives. While I have no reason to believe that anything miraculous took place during my encounter with President Spencer W. Kimble in the hallway of the Monument Park 2nd Ward, the experience holds a special place in my heart. It highlights the significance of faith healings in the lives of believers and the comfort it can bring during difficult times. As an adult, it is hard for me to reflect back on this experience as I came to find out the harmful teachings that Spencer Kimble taught, including virulent rhetoric against homosexuals like my brother, regressive anti-abortion stances that caused immense harm and even death to women, racist teachings about Native Americans and Black persons, and shaming generations of Latter-day Saints for supposed sexual sins both over the pulpit and through his morally repugnant Miracle of Forgiveness book. Whether or not a miracle occurred to heal me as a baby, the story of my infancy and the faith of my family remains an enduring and cherished memory. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey down memory lane.
When it comes to nicknames of the church, such as LDS Church, the Mormon Church, to remove the Lord's name from the Lord's church is a major victory for Satan.
Do or do not, there is no try.